Hello, this is Lesson 2, Wit and Wisdom, Model 1, 6th grade, but not Buddy. I'm actually going to try to attempt to go through the whole PowerPoint so you can get an understanding from how it's set up, and maybe you can start setting up your PowerPoints this way to kind of better manage and understand the curriculum. I truly hope this works or helps. Our welcome. In pairs, practice accuracy while reading the passage on handout 1A. Give each other feedback. So I know we're still in the virtual learning stages. So maybe you can have them to share out, unmute themselves and share out the accuracy of the reading, or have them to take turns reading inside of your virtual classrooms. Our focusing question will still be what makes Bud a survivor. And our framing question is what is happening in Bud, not Buddy. So we're going to dig deeper into Chapter 2 to find out what's happening in Bud, not Buddy. Our craft question, how does phrasing work in a fluent read? So we're going to dig deeper into that throughout this PowerPoint presentation to find out the phrasing work in a fluent reading. You're going to need handout 2A, module fluency annotation. You're going to listen to the excerpt and use colored pencils or highlighters to mark the phrasing used. You can make swoop marks, brackets, highlighting, and other marks. And this is something you want to have them to do inside of their interactive notebook, or not interactive, their digital notebook. If that's what you're using, to have them to write that down, because you can actually, with the digital notebook, you can highlight and you can do all that inside of it. So you want to make sure that they're referencing back to their digital notebook. You're going to complete handout 2A, and that is located under your materials section from your resources, just like the materials section that I provided for you in the last video. One is the learn, which is organized, character, plot, and setting. Who are the new characters we meet in Chapter 2, and what do we learn about them? So I know in Chapter 2 we meet the Amoses, so in Ty, so we're going to find out what we actually learn about them through the reading. Remember, Chapter 2 was supposed to be a homework assignment, so that should have already been read by the students. So right now you should be in the discussion phase. What happens in this chapter? You're going to go more into detail with your organized character, plot, and setting to find out what happens in this chapter. Learn organized character, plot, and setting. What is the setting of this chapter? We all know that the setting took place at the Amoses, and also it was a little bit at the the foster center or foster home. How does Bud feel about the shed? So the shed was something that came in under Chapter 2, and kind of we got the feel for Bud as to what terrified him, what he was scared of, but he didn't want to show that fear. He wanted to make sure that they didn't see that side of him. So how does Bud feel about the shed? That's something that you want to talk about. Either have the students to put it in the chat under your Zoom classes or Google Meets classes, or have them to unmute themselves and talk about it. Reread the last paragraph on page 19 and the following 2 paragraphs on page 20. So you want to go ahead and have them to read that now. You're going to find new words inside of the actual PowerPoint or inside the actual reading. To call someone's attention to something, nudge by pushing gently with the elbow. So we're going to find out how nudge played a big part in Chapter 2, especially when Bud gets into physical altercation with Ty. What does Bud want in this chapter? And we can say a lot of things that he wants. He definitely wants a family. He wants to feel secure. He doesn't really want anybody going in his suitcase. So those are some things, the talking points that you can have with your students. In your response journal, which is your digital notebook, describe what's happening in Chapter 2. So this is where our writing piece comes into play. You're going to have the students to write down what's actually happening in Chapter 2. Remember, that's something that they read for homework. And then you can have them to share out, or mute themselves and share out what they actually learned in Chapter 2. Or you can just have them to put inside the chat box. At this point, you're going to complete parts 1 through 3 of handout 2B, the two-set paragraph model, and that's under your resources for Module 1, Lesson 2. In that particular model that you're going to demonstrate is you're going to state the topic statement, which is state your essential idea about a topic. You're going to provide evidence. You're going to cite evidence that develops your topic, including context. You're going to elaborate and explain how the evidence develops your topic. And you're going to have a concluding statement that reinforces your essential idea. So that's what you're going to do on that part 1 through 3 of the handout 2B, two-set paragraph model. You're going to read your paragraph aloud to a peer, focusing on reading accurately. Now, if you don't feel comfortable with them reading to the class, maybe you can start a breakout room and have them to read to maybe an AB partner or something like that, where they're exchanging their dialogue, and you can kind of monitor what's going on, like pop in inside of the groups to make sure that's what they're doing. What is happening in Bud Not Buddy? So we're going to dig deeper into this because we're on the land part of our at a glance. And what is happening in Bud Not Buddy in Chapter 2. So we're just going to keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper and looking not for the surface information, but more in depth in the reading. We're at the wrap section now. So this is homework. They're going to read chapters 3 and 4, annotating, noticing, and wondering. Complete handout 1A, day 2. So this is where they're going to be annotating chapters 3 and 4, and that's going to be their homework assignment. The deep dive is Bud's main hardship in chapter 2 of Bud Not Buddy is protecting himself. For example, Bud has to defend himself when Ty bullies him by throwing a punch. Bud will not let anyone abuse or insult him. However, Bud also knows that being this brave is kind of stupid. Bud is afraid of getting hurt by Ty, therefore he hides under the bed. So that deep dive is, why do we think that? Is it something that actually happened to Bud that he's not really telling us about, that he doesn't want to, he's been in like an abusive or a physical situation where he's hiding from that and not defending himself? Deep dive again, style and conventions. Craft question experiment. How do you transition functions in writing? So you're going to dig deeper into that in the writing portion of the deep dive. You're going to review handout 2C, transitional words and phrases. So that's going to be something you're going to actually review. It's not something that you just need to put inside of your digital notebook. Ty hints that the blood in the shed is from the last kid who was put there. Bud is terrified of the stain in the shed. So let's dig deeper into that to see why he was terrified of the blood in the shed. Ty tries to scare Bud and says that the stain in the blood is the last kid who got put in the shed. So, Ty is trying to terrify him where he stays in that shed all day or all night because of the altercation that they had. You're going to complete handout 2D, experiment with transitional words and phrases. And then you're going to have, what is the purpose of a transition? This is our video for today. Thank you for tuning in. And again, this is lesson module 1, lesson 2. I went through the whole process for you, so giving you an idea how to set up that actual PowerPoint to kind of chunk those lessons together, and I truly hope that this helped. You can always email me for further clarification or just put in the comments below the YouTube video. Thank you again, and I'll see you on next week.